Today, we will discover the intricate world of the brain, its structure and function. Join me in exploring this remarkable organ which controls our emotions, actions, and thoughts. Have you ever pondered on it? Let's start by understanding the basics of the brain. Brain is an organ responsible for controlling our emotions, thoughts, and bodily processes. It weighs about 3 pounds and comprises around 86 billion neurons. Neuron enables the communication of signals or data among various organs. Therefore, neuron is the key component of brain's complex structure. Brain structure. The brain has 4 major parts, named as the cerebrum, cerebellum, brainstem, and diencephalon. 1. Cerebrum. Higher-level functions like thinking, reasoning, memory, and voluntary movements are carried out by cerebrum, thus making it largest area of brain. The cerebrum is further divided into cerebral hemisphere and cortex. Cerebral hemispheres. There are 2 halves of cerebrum, left and right hemispheres. A bundle of nerve fibers named as corpus callosum interconnects both left and right cerebral hemispheres. The role of each hemisphere is to control the functions of the opposite side of the body. For example, the left hemisphere commands the actions of the right side of the body while the right hemisphere controls the left side of our body. Cerebral cortex. Cerebral cortex lies on top of cerebrum, also referred as the gray matter. It comprises layers of cell bodies and dendrites. As it is a highly folded and wrinkled structure, it handles more extensive neural connections. The cerebral cortex is mainly involved in the consciousness. Over time, the human cortex undergoes a process of corticalization, or wrinkling of the cortex. This process is because of the vast knowledge that the human brain accumulates. Therefore, the more wrinkle your brain, the smarter and more intelligent you are. Cerebral hemispheres are divided into 4 lobes. A. Frontal lobe. B. Parietal lobe. C. Temporal lobe. D. Occipital lobe. Each lobe performs a specific function and contributes to overall cognitive abilities. Frontal lobe. It is present at the front of the cerebrum behind the forehead and is involved in critical functions like decision-making, problem-solving, conscious thought, attention, emotional and behavioral control, speech production, personality, intelligence, body movement. It also contains the primary motor cortex, responsible for initiating and coordinating body movements. Occipital lobe. It is at the back of the brain and accountable for visual processing and interpretation of visual data received from the eyes regarding color, motion, and orientation. Also involves in object and facial recognition, depth and distance perception. Parietal lobe. It is between your frontal and occipital lobes and above your temporal lobe. It is the region responsible for processing sensory information such as touch, temperature, and pain. It also plays a role in spatial processing and spatial manipulation. This is the ability which allows individuals to understand their location in 3-dimensional space, such as how to navigate around their home or town. Temporal lobe. It sits below the parietal lobe and is primarily associated with auditory processing, language comprehension, and memory formation. It plays a significant role in recognizing faces and interpreting emotions. Let's move to the second part of the brain. 2. The cerebellum. It is at the back of the brain beneath the cerebrum, immediately inferior to occipital and temporal lobes. It is separated by these lobes through layers of connective tissues termed as tentorium cerebelli. Cerebellum is only 4.5 inches wide and only about 10% of brain's volume. The cerebellum plays an imperative role in controlling voluntary movements, maintaining body balance, and posture. The cerebellum has special sensors that detect shift in balance and movement. It sends signals for the body to adjust, move, maintain stability, make necessary adjustments to stay upright. It also coordinates the movements of a various group of muscles so the body can move smoothly. Cerebellum also provides the ability of motor learning, for example learning to ride a bicycle or playing a musical instruments, which require practice and fine-tuning. Eye movements are also controlled by cerebellum. The third part of the brain is called the brainstem. It is the stalk-like part that sits towards the bottom of brain and connects the brain to the spinal cord. It regulates the body actions such as breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, facial sensations, swallowing and digestion. Brainstem contains 10 cranial nerves which control facial movements, sensations, and taste. Brainstem comprises 3 parts that work together in a harmonious way to allow involuntary actions to keep our body working. F. Midbrain. B. Pons. C. Medulla oblongata. Let's explain each component one by one. Midbrain. It is the topmost part of the brainstem. The midbrain serves important functions in motor movement, particularly movements of the eye, and in auditory and visual processing. It facilitates the communication among various regions of brain by acting as a relay station for sensory and motor signals. It also maintains the sleep and wake-up cycles. Pons. It is the middle and largest portion of the brainstem, lying above the medulla oblongata and below the cerebellum. The pons is a bridge of nerve fibers that connect medulla with cerebellum. The key jobs that pons handle is influencing sleep cycle. It also relays and regulates the signals that give sensations of pain. It also coordinates with other brainstem parts which regulate breathing, facial expressions and rapid eye movement. Sleep, the phase in sleep cycle in which person experience dreams. Medulla oblongata. It is the terminal part which connects brainstem with the spinal cord. It houses the centers for vital functions of the body, such as those for the heart rate, blood pressure, breathing and digestion. Regulation of autonomic functions. Homeostasis is maintained and regulated by brainstem by receiving and sending signals from several sensory receptors to ensure that body is running properly. Integration with higher brain regions. Although the brainstem is primarily associated with basic functions, it also interacts with higher brain regions. It receives input from the cerebral cortex, allowing for voluntary control over certain functions like breathing rate and heart rate modulation. 4. Diencephalon. The last part of the brain is called diencephalon. This region includes the thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus. The egg-shaped thalamus, at the top of the brainstem, acts as a relay station for sensory information. It receives information as nerve signals from various sensory organs and send it to brain for further processing. Hypothalamus. Moving on to the hypothalamus, situated just below the thalamus, its function is to keep the body in a stable state called homeostasis. It manages temperature fluctuations in the blood and starts responses to regulate body temperature such as shivering or sweating. The hypothalamus also plays a role in regulating our feelings of hunger and thirst. In response to these signals, it starts behaviors to get food and water, ensuring we meet our nutritional and hydration needs. The hypothalamus interacts with pituitary gland to release hormones that further influence other endocrine glands to regulate processes such as growth, metabolism, and reproduction. Thus, it also plays a crucial role in managing endocrine system. Now the basic structure of brain is understood, let's move on to explore how it works. Neurons or nerve cells are the fundamental blocks of nervous system. These are the key components that controls brain activities. A neuron has three main parts: cell body, dendrites, and an axon. A synapse is a small gap at the end of a neuron that allows a signal to pass from one neuron to the next. An electrical impulse induces the release of neurotransmitter when it reaches the end of one neuron's axon, which carry the signal to the next neuron. Brain disorders. Unfortunately, the brain is susceptible to various disorders. Conditions like Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, epilepsy, and stroke can affect brain structure and function, leading to cognitive and motor impairments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating content. And as always, stay curious and keep exploring.